think if it wouldn't have been for that loss, I'd have been comfortable sitting in that job in a dead-end marriage, doing what I'm doing. So that did me a favor to step out of my comfort zone and launch. And my mom's even told me, like, there's been times I have sat on my basement floor and bawled my eyes out going, what the F did I do? Oh my God, I just left my entire life, drove across country and bought a house. And alone. What am I doing? Like, what did you do? But I look back now and I'm like, no way, I did the right thing. I had to lose something to be pushed out of my comfort zone.
Welcome to Female Voices, Life and Loss, a podcast dedicated to women from all walks of life. Whether you're navigating through loss, seeking growth, or simply looking for a place to feel understood, you've come to the right space. Each week, we provide compassionate guidance, share diverse stories, and offer practical advice to help you heal, grow, and thrive. No matter where you are on your journey, we're here to walk with you. Let's grow together.
Hello, Ragan. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad we have been able to schedule a time for us to get together and talk about all things Ragan. Welcome.
Oh, welcome. Well, thank you for having me. And TGIF, it's Friday.
That it is. It is Friday that we're recording this, so I'm excited. Really excited. Like, we just met. Somebody said we needed to be connected, and we showed up at an event, and I had my name tag on, and you passed me your business card, and I looked at it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody just said to me, you got to meet this girl. And like, there you were, right there in front of me. I was like, a God thing, for sure. So it was amazing to be able to meet you in person, and then we grabbed a coffee, and now here we are. We're recording so you can share all the things. So I don't know a whole lot, so I'm going to have lots of questions to ask, and I'm excited to get to learn more about you, and of course the how you've navigated grief, loss, all of the things that you have endured that have come to you in the last, I don't know how old you are, but I'll say 20 years is what I'll say. So before we get started, though, and diving into all of those things, I want you to share, who is Ragan? Who is this beautiful woman that I see? If you're listening and you don't see her, go to YouTube, and then you can see this beautiful woman. So who's Ragan?
Let's see. Well, I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a redhead. So if you know the ginger vibe, you'll know that I wear that well. I'm a baker's daughter, so I was born and raised in Long Beach, Washington, 27 miles of the Washington State coastline. It's at the confluence of the Columbia River and Pacific Ocean out there in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. And I grew up service before self. It was a mom and pop bakery. I slept in the mixing bowls when I was a baby, and my mom would serve the customers and my dad would bake the product. And at 5 years old, my parents welcomed my brother, Lewis, and he lived to be 16. And that is when I experienced kind of my first big loss. He had his driver's license about a month and was killed in a car accident. It was his fault. Driving home from where he worked to my parents' house to watch a baseball game. So you go from an Ozzie and Harriet, mom and dad, daughter, son, the dog, the business family, and that really just shakes the snow globe upside down, and it's just kind of a little bit of everywhere. We went through navigating loss that way. I had just turned 21. Okay. So, graduated, moved away, and I was at school and got the phone call about my brother. And, at 21, you could go one direction or another when
Yes.
it comes to being legal for alcohol. Thankfully, I didn't go that direction and I don't drink today. I could have found ways to cope. I went back to school and I worked a lot. That was kind of how I did stuff. And I couldn't really go back to the beach because I was at school and it was just easier to stay there. So that was probably the hardest
Yeah.
and longest grief period I've gone through, and I'm still going through it.
I was going to say, yeah. It's something that you never stop grieving, for sure. It changes with,
Absolutely.
as you're navigating different things that arise with grief.
Yes. And not only that, but I can feel it and experience from a sibling to sibling point of view. But this was in 1997, it's 2025. So I have watched my parents, my mom losing her son. I got married, divorced. That's a whole other chapter of loss. But at my wedding, I realized my mom would never have that mother-son dance and the things that my mom wouldn't get to experience because my brother died at 16. So not that I know what parents go through when they lose a child, but I have empathy because I've watched my own parents.
Yeah. So you said that you didn't go to the alcohol and all of those things, and you indicated that it was school and work and those kind of things. So that was your coping, I'll say, mechanism, your outlet. Were there other things that you did besides, because I could dive into that, but let's just say, were there other things that you did to help support yourself and your parents grieving the loss of your brother?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. When it first, so he died in 97, and 97, 98, 99 on the peninsula, there was kind of a timeline of either youth suicide or car accidents. And the siblings were coming to me and saying, hey, you lost your brother. How do you handle this? So I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, counselor, I'm not even a high school advisor, but I started a grief support group in one of the meeting rooms at a hotel in Long Beach. And every week, it was supposed to be for sibling loss. So if you'd lost a sibling, we'll all sit in a circle and just kind of talk to each other. Not in a formatted way, but just all be together, that if we need a hug or sit there in silence or whatever it is. That went on for a year to 16 months. And it got to the point where parents were coming instead of the siblings. And I was ending up trying to counsel, find books, find articles to support the parents, and it didn't do for me anymore.
Right.
The nice thing about that is we passed it off to the Lutheran Church on the peninsula, and today they are still doing that grief support group.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you. I think that happens frequently, that people lose someone and they reach out to try to find those other people that get it a little bit. I don't always use the word understand, because we really can never understand someone else's loss, even if we both lost a brother. To understand someone else's loss, you just can't, because they're both different, very unique to each other. They seek out those people that get it,
yes,
and have been through it, and it is so beneficial, and so much healing happens when you find that other person that you can, like you said, talk to, hug, that really gets it and kind of understands, but totally doesn't understand. So I love that people, and that happens, people will come to people that get it for comfort. Like, am I doing this right? Like, I'm not sure that I'm doing this right. I think I'm doing this all wrong because society says this is what you should be doing. This is how you should be feeling. Like, we only get, 3 bereavement days? Like, go back to work. Like, I could get on a rampage with all of that, and I won't here. But it's great that you were open enough to allow those people to come in, and you, I'm sure at the beginning you got healing, but it was good that you realized that now you're not healing. They're healing and you're not. And you were at a space where it's like, I need to pay attention to me more. So I love that you recognize that.
Yes. And what was nice is that there were 2 families that I would have never thought would have been brave enough to come to the table and have conversations that did. And it was wonderful. You know, just to see that they were brave enough to feel comfortable to walk in the door.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do know from talking to you, and we had a coffee, so obviously you're not where you used to be. You're in the St. Louis area where I am, as that's where we talked about that. I saw you across the table, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what happened? Because I know there's some loss with this, tied into this. What happened that brought you to St. Louis? And there's going to be probably a couple of things here that we'll dive into.
Okay. So, my 5 whys, Lewis and Clark, the Arch, Cardinals baseball, Nellie, and Toasted Rabs. And I'll start at the top of that.
In that order specifically?
In that order.
Okay, yes. All right. Just want to be clear.
Although I might have to flip Nellie for Toasted Rabs because, he's off the market now. No, actually, why I liked Nellie was he lost a sibling. And
okay.
I connected with that. So I always joke about him being my Make-A-Wish because I would love to meet him in person, and I would love to give him one of the angel coins that I pass out as a remembrance of my brother. So that's kind of my why for Nellie. Lewis and Clark, so the Discovery Expedition out of St. Charles, Missouri, during the signature events in early 2000, came out to the Pacific, destination the Pacific, and I was working for the city of Long Beach as their tourism and events person. And I met all these wonderful people from St. Louis that I adored. We spent Thanksgiving together. They reenacted that entire time out at the coast. And when they started the return home, I started the return home with them. So in September of 2006, it was a beautiful September day, and we were all down on the landing at the Arch, and we were watching the guys paddle the dugouts up underneath the Eads Bridge to the Arch landing. There was thousands of people down below me, and I turned around, and all 53 of the Native American tribes that we had encountered along the trail were in full regalia with their flags, and the Arch was over them. So the Arch, she's like a halo on earth. I love her. I light up when I have to drive by her or see her, just because she is my happy place here. So I just knew I was going to live here. And then Anheuser-Busch had pumpkin spice ale that year when the Cardinals won the World Series. So I'm from the Lou, and I'm proud, and I didn't go to high school here. So I love it. I have no family. So my loss was that during COVID, I lost my job of 16 years. I got divorced. I packed up my car, and I literally drove as the world was shutting down to Hazelwood, Missouri, where I arrived on March 26th of 2020, the day God said, you're all grounded, stay home. So in 5 years, I've bought a house, started a business, um, gained a lot of friends and great
Mhm.
support people here. I have a Missouri mama and a Missouri dad, and people that have adopted me, and so
Yeah.
I love it here. I miss the ocean and my parents.
So I know you talk to them frequently, so that's really
Yes,
nice.
almost
That's
every day. My dad
yeah.
has Parkinson's, so my mom
Yeah.
is his full-time caregiver.
Mhm. Mhm. So with all of those things that happen, loss of a job, divorce, so I'm going to say that that was really like, did you need a new start? What was like the final kind of thing that said, okay, I'm packing my stuff, packing my car, and I'm going to go? Or were you contemplating that from when you originally came many years prior to
It was a 16-year dream, and I
that?
had,
Okay.
before I had gotten married, I would come out, because of Lewis and Clark, I would come out every May to Frontier Park for Heritage Days, and I would reenact with the Discovery Expedition. I'd be in 1800s clothing, and then I would go back and get the festival season going for the city.
Okay.
When the marriage was already terrible, and um, when the job went away, there was nothing left for me.
Okay.
It just was my friend here saying, "Hey, I had just lost my husband 2 years prior. Come out here." So we were
Okay.
together. She flew out on the 20th of March, and then we drove together across country
Nice.
to here. My 3 little dogs packed in a car carrier across the United
Oh,
States. And
yeah.
I've done it 4 times now. My car, and then 2 U-Haul trucks, and then my
Okay.
parents.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now, you can speak to this, and I'm just gonna, because somebody listening in as a grief specialist, when you two different times, I'm hearing kind of some things similar in this.
Mm-hmm.
When your brother passed away, your coping was work and school. When lost a job and divorced, you moved across the country.
Yes.
So you may know where I'm going with this,
Yes.
and you could decide how you want to answer this.
Okay.
Is that an avoidance?
No.
Like, do you run instead of dealing and feeling and coping with what's going on internal? Because, and I'll just say this, a lot of people will, for sure. Some of them go to the alcohol. That's the avoidance of the feelings. Some people isolate. Some people just get super busy to get away from what they're feeling inside. Speak to that for me.
Okay, so I think prior to November of last year, maybe, yeah, there was probably some
Like,
um
I need just something totally new.
um well, for me with the St. Louis thing,
Yeah.
I had always wanted to come here.
Okay.
That was a
Okay.
dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, totally from the Lou. I mean, I have probably more Lewis and Clark or St. Louis pride that in my pinky than most people that live here do. Um, but I I have always known that there was something more for me out here.
Okay.
There's something bigger. And I think if it wouldn't have been for that loss, I'd have been comfortable sitting in that job in a dead end marriage, doing what I'm doing.
Mhm.
So that did me a favor to step out of my comfort zone and launch. And my
Mhm.
mom's even told me, like, there's been times I have sat on my basement floor and bawled my eyes out, going, what the F did I do? Oh my God, I just left my entire life, drove across country, and bought a house,
Mhm.
and alone. What am I doing? Like, what did you do? But I look back now and I'm like, No way. I did the right thing. I had to lose something to be pushed out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the last job I had. I was recruited to come to the job, and then my person that I didn't know would be supervising me became my supervisor, and it took her 120 days to get rid of me.
Oh, wow.
And to this day, the owner who recruited me has never spoke to me. So on the day of the solar eclipse, in 5 days, my business will be 1 year old. So when you go big, you go solar. And I did. I took that leap of faith that this is going to be the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And if I fail, it's all on me. And I'm doing it.
You are doing it.
So,
well, and I think, like you said, it was a dream, and it was like, now the opportunity was like, well, why not? Why not?
It was God's timing, because I would come every year, and for the week I was here, I'd apply to jobs everywhere, and it just wasn't right. It's God's timing. He's the author of my story, and since last November, I've just realized you have too much free will. You don't always have to do what you want to do, that sometimes you have to do what is in his timing.
For sure. So, always. You can fight it, but
yes. Yes. So
FemaleVoicesLife Career and Life Coaching, your trusted partner in mental health and personal growth. Are you feeling stuck in your career or life path? Whether you're navigating a career change, seeking work-life balance, or looking to break free from anxiety, Allberry Career and Life Coaching offers personalized coaching sessions that blend mental health support with practical career advice. Owned by a licensed therapist, Wayna helps you overcome limiting beliefs and build confidence for the next chapter of your life. With tailored strategies, you'll gain clarity, achieve your goals, and find fulfillment. Visit allberrycoaching.com today to schedule your free consultation. And as a special offer for our listeners, use the code podcast20 for 20% off your first coaching session. Start your journey to a happier, more balanced life today. Thanks to Allberry Career and Life Coaching for supporting today's episode. Now let's get back into the conversation.
So I want to go back to the grief group that you started, and then you went away from that. What did you do after that for your healing? Because you knew that was not working. What did you shift for yourself to help yourself at that time? Do you remember?
I went back up to Vancouver, Washington, which is 2 hours, which is where my parents were born and raised. So I had family there. And I worked. And then in 9/11, I moved back to the beach because, the world was pretty unstable at that time.
Right.
My parents were on an airplane that morning going to Charlottesville, Virginia. And the next day they were going to tour the Pentagon with my cousin Rich. So I know where I was on 9/11. And it was time. I had broken up with my college boyfriend of 6 years. I wasn't happy. It's just time to move home. Worked for my parents at the bakery for a while. And then I was substitute teaching because I had gotten my teaching degree. So I was doing a little bit of substitute teaching when I moved home. And then summer of 2004, one of the city councilmen came to me and said, "We have the most perfect job for you. You need to put your hat in the ring." And it was for their festival and event person. And so they paid for me to go to University of Oregon and get my festival and event management degree. I got ordained while I was there because brides were calling the city and saying, hey, we want to do a destination wedding at the beach. We're
Mm-hmm.
not really religious. Do you have somebody? And we had a couple people, but when those two gentlemen passed away, there wasn't anybody doing it. So I just went, and I had gotten ordained to marry ex-husband's niece. And so I just kept doing it for the city. It's like, hey, if I've got my food handler's card, I'll go behind the counter and help you with the groups that I bring in. Just service before self. I'm an empath. And
Uh-huh.
sometimes, yes, that is a help, and sometimes it's a hindrance.
Yeah.
Because I just overfeel everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's everything. And I think that's why I had to stop the grief support group, was just because I couldn't take in any of their energy, and there's nothing I could do about it. So it just made me feel sadder.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That does. Many people ask me, because I work with people with grief, like, how do you handle that? And I think there are definitely ways, there are techniques, there are support, there's other things that I use to make sure that I'm not taking it all in on myself, because that is, it's very hard to have your own grief and take in and hold everyone else's grief along. And it sounds like that's exactly what was happening. And that's heavy.
Yes.
That is very heavy. And that was a huge realization for you to understand that, okay, I can't do this anymore. I can't take any more in to myself.
That was in my early 20s.
Yeah, you were
21,
young.
22.
Yeah.
That was very hard. So
we didn't talk yet. You got right into the loss. So I want to go back and talk. No, it's fine. It's perfect. I want to go back to, you started your own business and you've been doing that for a year. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And we talked a little bit, like when we had coffee, and a little bit earlier before we hit record. That sounds like it's going really, really well. And it ties into what your job was with the city. So I'm making the connection here a little bit where I didn't make all those connections, I think, when we were having coffee. But share with us how you decided to do what you're doing now, and what is that?
Well, I'm going to say God knew exactly the type of role or job or environment that I needed to be in. And I remember as a kid, because remember, we're in a tourism area, at the beach, everybody wants to come see you. And so I remember as a little girl, my mom piling all the cousins from Minnesota and Wisconsin into the minivan and driving them all around the peninsula and showing them the lighthouses and the cranberry bogs and all the things. And it was just, I've always loved to hostess. That's service before self. And so I had the job at the city where I was a destination marketing organization, a DMO. And that meant I was marketing 27 miles of the Washington state coastline to tour operators or group travel people. And so when I got to St. Louis, and I was we were on lockdown, I told my friends that I had met tour operators, hey, I want to get to your side. I want to cross to the dark side and work on the fun side of things in tour and travel. And I want to be in the group tour side. So I got hired on with a company, and they were very much faith-based. So I learned a lot about the South and different religions and how they travel together and whatnot. And then I was they closed the St. Louis office, so that made me not have a position. But then another company recruited me to come to work for them. And I was miserable for that 120 days I was there. I didn't understand what I was hired for versus what was actually being experienced. And so I was fired. I almost got out of the industry altogether. It almost completely broke me to where I don't even want to do this anymore. I don't want to be around these people in the industry, because it's a tough industry to be in. So basically, I had people tell me, you could do this. You could do this. And the only thing stopping me was me.
Yeah.
Self-sabotage. You can't do that. You can't do it all by yourself. And I did. I don't want to go work for a mature company. I know in my heart what I want to do. And that is give people the best travel experience that they can. And I love doing it in a group setting. And right now my whole sales focus campaign right now is churches, which kind of leads me up to that November time frame of almost losing myself and wanting to turn around and give churches the opportunity to fellowship with people like myself who have been at a low place and maybe sit on the pew or the church chairs every Sunday and want to know more, want to feel closer to God, but don't know how. So if they fellowship together in a group, that they can grow spiritually. And so selfishly, that's why I've put these together, is I want the people that are like me out there to know that there is camaraderie, there is support in your flock, that you can also go and have a great time. And the things that we are doing in Branson and Eureka Springs are 100% faith-based. They're not the big box shows that you're going to get on the strip. They're going to be your absolutely country, definitely gospel, your Doug Gabriels. Obviously, we're going to incorporate Sight and Sound with David going on this year, and things in Eureka Springs as far as the Great Passion Play. But I incorporated the Butterfly Palace because I feel like in December, when I went home for the holidays, that was my time to just like close myself and heal. I served the letter. I went and spread my 3 dogs' ashes at the beach, which are my kids, because I couldn't have kids. So I did things for closure so that I could come back here and figure out this is what I'm going to do with the business and spread my wings. And so we've incorporated the Butterfly Palace, because when I went to visit there, a bright orange one had landed on my arm. And I was like, yep, there are God winks everywhere. Like, if you just are open to them. I don't want to say pay attention to them, because you just have to be open to them.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm driving and I see a Washington State license plate. I get so excited because it's like, oh, yep, that's a God wink. I'm supposed to be here. Like, my people are watching me. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that this shift coming here and starting now a year in this business has really been a way to, I'm going to say, like, blend your purpose, your joy, and connecting all of that through what you're doing now, which is group travel.
Yes.
And putting just together these events, these trips, I should say, not really events, these trips. And it's interesting that you very much feel that these are trips that you're putting together that brings that community together and which fosters healing.
Yeah, I need it. I need to go to church. I've also started boxing. So I go to Resilient Boxing out in O'Fallon, and they're faith-based foundation company. And I went there about a week after my experience in November, and I go, and it helps me get out of my head and be right present with what's going on, because as they're calling out commands, you're punching the bag. You have to be present, and that really helps my body physically. So physically, I'm trying to do things. Mentally, I'm trying to do things.
Yeah.
So,
That is definitely all part of grief and healing journey, and that's a big piece. I spoke to this a little bit earlier, that a lot of times as grievers, we don't pay attention to our body, and we're not always present. We're pushing things away, we're pushing them down, we're doing things to avoid feeling. And so I like the boxing because what you just said, it forces you to be present and to really probably feel what's going on and really be aware of what's going on physically,
yes.
mentally, and faith-based spiritually as well. So I love that you're doing that. So beneficial for you. Of course, everyone has different things that they do, but I love that you're doing boxing, especially as a woman doing boxing. I love that.
Most of the people in the class are women.
I love that.
Actually, well, my instructor is a lady.
Wow.
2 of the 3 instructors are females.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's a completely safe environment. I don't feel, I'm a hot, sweaty mess by the time it's over with. And some days I'm just doing it to compete with my own personal score, personal record. And then there's other days where things or people have frustrated me. And remember, Ginger, warning label. I use that bag as a frustration.
Sure.
Like, I want to see how hard I could jab and punch. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. The audience may know this, they may not know this, so I'll share it here if they are just joining for the first time. I do I'm part of a support group that I help with, which is the SHARE organization, and which is a national organization. It's the national office is in St. Charles, Missouri. But I help with a support group that is at Anderson Hospital in Maryville, Illinois.
Okay.
And it's probably been right at a year ago that we took the group. This was men and women, couples, or just men, just women. And we went to a boxing gym. And the same thing, it's very therapeutic. And there is nothing better. These women all have experienced pregnancy loss. That's what the SHARE organization is based around. It was so therapeutic and so good to physically get out all of the emotion and frustration of losing a child and get it out onto that punching bag or someone else's boxing gloves, hitting other people's boxing gloves. Just so beneficial and so healing. So I totally understand that when you're talking about that, because I have seen that.
One night.
I should.
Because Emil and his mom own Resilient Boxing, and on Thursday nights we have boxing and Bible study. So
nice.
We'll all sit down before we box and read a passage and talk, just kind of talk about it.
I love that.
So yeah, it's been amazing for me.
I love that.
So, and you don't have to be physically fit. It will make you physically fit.
Yeah. I can remember hurting after, like my waist, like I guess just the twisting. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yes. And like it's, for me, I used to ride horses, so I've got lower body strength. My upper body strength isn't, but I'm doing planks and push-ups and things like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Good. I'm going to be my best self at 49.
Yeah. Good for you. Yay. There's no reason to hide our ages. I don't feel like. I think that was a past generation. We had don't tell anybody, a woman, don't ask her age. Now it's like, hey, I'm going to be 65 this year, and I'm going to tell everyone, you know?
In July, but I keep telling everybody I'm almost 50. Like 50, I'm planning a big trip for myself for my 50th. Like,
Good
bring
for
on
you.
50 because it's going to be awesome. So,
Yeah, perfect. Now, I know just a thought because of the travel business that you're in, and I do a grief retreat. I love that you do all kinds of travel things. And I'll just share with you, this was probably one of the first things that when I became a grief specialist, that I'm like, oh, I'd like to do this because my husband and I have been on many, many cruises. And it is one of his favorite vacations is to go on a cruise.
okay.
I like them. I enjoy them, but it's not my favorite. It's his favorite. And with saying that, I have thought about putting together a grief cruise. What does that look like? What has to be done? Is that doable to put together a group, bringing all of them together and going on a ship? Like I've been on where I went for work, so that I assume there's spaces where you can do things with a group if you bring them. Tell me, is that doable?
It's doable. It's doable. I have actually, in my previous employer, had widows and widowers come up to me and say, do you do anything that we could like meet other people like us and go do things together? And yes, I mean, just now my brain went, my gosh, we need 2 cruises now because I would do a cruise for widows and widowers that are ready to meet other people, or you do one for families who've lost siblings, who've lost a child, where the sibling gets to go and just have fun with other kids that you're not alone. So that just popped out of my head, and primarily because I have a friend who lost a child who has another child, and that child has severe anxiety of loss. And so we know who that person is.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see their family benefit from going with other families on something where they don't have to worry about getting off the ship. They don't have to worry about anything else. The kids can go play in the pool for an hour, and then you guys could, or the adults could have a meeting time.
Yeah.
It's very, very doable, and it's doable to the point where this now brings on another element, and that is I'm working with the Missouri Elks Lodge on a cruise. They want to raise money for the 53 Elks Lodges in the state of Missouri. So we're planning a cruise that for every cabin that is booked, $100 goes back to the Elks Lodge.
Nice.
So we could potentially put something together where $100 from each cabin sold would go to, say it's the family one, and there's a family grief support kids something. And that money goes to that, or you divide it up. You plan it, you dream it, we build it, they'll come.
Awesome. Yeah, we need to talk to Carrie, who you alluded to earlier. Carrie has been on the podcast. It's been a while ago, but she has been on the podcast talking about her loss of Jackson. The 3 of us brainstorm that a little bit and bring that to life.
Yes.
Because so much healing can come from that. No,
you're having fun, you're relaxing, you're rejuvenating, but you're also healing because you're with other people that have experienced the same. I can feel for Ivan.
Yeah.
Because of Jackson, but I can feel Carrie because of my mom.
Yeah.
I think I almost relate more to her on the parent side than I do on the sibling side. And I met her through ICAG. I know a guy gal, And when she said who she was, I was like, oh my gosh, I have got to know you. And the first thing I did before she left was stick an angel coin in her pocket. We've never been able to meet up for a one-to-one. It's God's timing. And maybe this is.
Yeah, we're going to do that. I'm going to make that happen for sure.
Right. It'd make my heart happy.
Yeah.
And it actually might be a way for me to heal too. And I've never been on a cruise.
Yes.
I plan them, but I've actually never been on one.
Okay, perfect. You can join us. And yeah. And I think there's still healing that needs to happen for sure. You've experienced a lot. Well, there's always seems to be more healing that needs to happen. So as we conclude this episode, I want you to share kind of anything that you've not shared so far, and then just speak to the audience. Like someone, you have done an amazing job taking some pain, a lot of pain, and switched it to some purpose. And there's been a lot of resilience and strength within that. Speak to those people that need support in that area.
I think it's, so if you're listening, I think it's your timing. I've been gone from the city of Long Beach where I worked for 5 years. And when I left that position, I allowed the mayor, who in a small village is, can be like family. And I left that village and that person angry and gave them a lot of power. And it took me saying, I want to be at peace and take my power back to write a letter. I'm the type of ginger that I will take those letters right to that person, hand deliver it in this awesome Christmas outfit to make me feel good, and go, I'm taking my power back. Now, it took me 5 years because I was terrified of that individual. But it's really when you're ready, when you are ready to say, no, you don't get that anymore. It's me. This is my time. And I didn't write the letter being naughty or mean or I hate you or whatever. It was a thank you letter. Thank you for showing me your true colors. Thank you for teaching me the type of person that I want to be, because I want to be a transparent person. I want to be a heartfelt person. So you can forgive those people. You can thank them. But if the letter is going to be in a slamming way, you're not ready yet. You have to be ready to just say thank you and give it away. And that will allow you to have your power back. And I am utilizing this example because speaking with my mom on the phone this morning, December, I gave the letter and someone came up to her recently and said, boy, I don't know what it was about that letter that Ragan gave this individual, but it really struck him to the core. And so she had asked me what was in the letter. And I said, I thanked him. I thanked him for showing his true colors. I thanked him for helping me be the person that I want to be. And I feel it's each individual's time. When they're ready, they'll know. And you'll write a letter, or you'll pick up the phone, or you'll have a cup of coffee with them.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you felt and still do that it was a way to bring power back to you and not continue that being with them, because that happens all the time, and specifically a lot of times with loss. People say stuff, we get angry, friendships, relationships all change. And sometimes we don't necessarily, like in your case, we don't want them back in our life. We just want the power and to be able to release what we're in control of it, what we have allowed to happen. for ourselves, that we have kept
Yes.
harboring that. And so to be able to release that,
it's
yeah,
what society says we should do, how we
yeah,
should act, how we should behave,
yeah,
how we should think. And I have my own boundaries. And it's
yeah,
been really, really
awesome.
hard, taking me some time to get where I am. And I want to move on. I want to be healed. I want to forgive the people that have wronged me. And
Hmm.
don't get me wrong, there's still some people back home that need to have a letter written, but I'm not ready yet, because when
Yeah.
I think about writing it, I'm angry and I don't want to be. So I'm not
Yeah.
ready to work on that one right now.
You have to work together so I can support and help you
Yes.
on that for sure. As I do my clients, we definitely work on that. So I just wanted to make sure that we kind of wrap that up in when
Yes.
you're ready. I heard several things there. There's forgiveness in some things. There's boundaries that we set. We need to set boundaries really around those toxic people. And those are all really good things that help us heal whatever we're grieving. Well, I'm so glad that we've met. I'm so glad that you were able to join me today. And just thanks for your honesty. Thanks for your strength, your grace, everything that you shared with us. I appreciate you so much coming on and sharing all of that with us.
Well, thank
Thank you
you.
so
I
much.
appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Female Voices Life and Loss. We hope today's conversation brought you comfort, insight, and a sense of community. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with others who might need it. Stay connected, stay resilient, and until next time, keep growing and healing.